The Allegory of the Exodus is an informational series of important present truth lessons hidden in the ancient story of Abraham, Isaac, Jacob, and the Exodus of the children of Israel. Each episode covers its own part in the stories of the patriarchs, revealing important lessons that are not only prophetic but also review current events as portrayed in the stories. Episode 1. Let's go back in ancient times, not in the dark ages, nor in the time of Christ, not even in the time of David, but yes, in the time of Abraham. Abraham and Sarah his wife were promised a son from God, but Sarah was barren. When they saw time was passing and there was no sign of a son, Abraham took Hagar his maid for a wife, and had a son from her. But this was not the promised son, and Sarah became pregnant and gave birth to Isaac, the child whom Abraham was promised. Paul explains the allegory of the story in Galatians chapter 4, verse 22 to 26. It is written that Abraham had two sons, the one by a bondmaid, the other by a free woman. But he who was of the bondmaid was born after the flesh, but he of the free woman by promise, which things are an allegory. For these are the two covenants, the one from Mount Sinai, which is Hagar. For this Hagar is Mount Sinai in Arabia, and answereth to Jerusalem which is now, and is in bondage with her children. But Jerusalem which is above is free, which is the mother for us all. Paul well elaborates the two wives of Abraham represents two churches or covenants. The one is the Old Testament church, which is Hagar, for Hagar means Mount Sinai in Arabia. Sarah represents the New Testament church. The two sons of these women represents members of the church. The Old Testament church represented by Hagar, her members are represented by Ishmael. The New Testament church represented as Sarah, her members are represented by Isaac. Paul quotes Isaiah chapter 54 verse 1 in Galatians chapter 4 verse 27. For it is written, Rejoice thou barren that bearest not, break forth and cry, thou that travellest not, for the desolate hath many more children than she which hath an husband. Now we brethren, as Isaac was, are the children of promise. The woman that was desolate and barren was told to rejoice because she would have many more children than the one which had an husband, implying that in the New Testament church represented by Sarah was to rejoice, for she would have more children than the Jewish church. He that was born after the flesh persecuted him that was born after the spirit. Even so it is now. So it was the Jews who are represented by Ishmael persecuted the Christians in Paul's time. Nevertheless, what saith the scripture? Cast out the bound woman and her son, for the son of the bound woman shall not be heir with the son of the free woman. Abraham was told to chase away Hagar and her son, that Isaac may inherit his father's wealth. Even so, the Jews were rejected of God, and the Christians were his favored people. Beautiful indeed did the allegory mean to the early Christians who were passing through a time of persecution by the Jews, and the allegory to them was of great meaning, showing that the Christians were the people upon whom God had placed his supreme regard. But the story does not just end here. If Isaac, who represents the New Testament, took Rebekah for a wife, then Rebekah must represent a church in the New Testament period. Watch out for the next episode. The story has just begun.